Hello everybody, I am Fuzzyface, welcome back today. Today we've got round 3 of this 2021 season here on this Motorsport Manager career that we're doing Project Audi. Today we have the Chinese Grand Prix. We're here in Beijing. Fuel burn, low, tyre wear, medium. It is 51 laps. So it could be, we're approaching what would be, or it should be, more than definitely, a 2-stop race here. So a little bit different to the races that we've done in Sydney and Dubai, where I think they were both 1-stop races. Although some of the AI sort of messed up their tyre strategy, just blew through super softs. Went super soft for some reason, blew through their second super softs, and we saw like a couple of the top cars coming into the pits. Like I think Ricciardo ended up finishing a little bit further down in Dubai than he should have done. And we had both McLarens. They did the 1-stops, but I think they just shredded their super softs. They went totally off at the end, and Lewis and Max both finished outside the points. Whereas the race last time was won by Charles Leclerc again, his second win of the season. Hulkenberg second. Good result for him as well, getting to grips with that Ferrari. And then it was Alonso. Norris doing really well in fourth. And then we had Stoffel Van Dorn sitting in for Sebastian Vettel, who is ill with a fever at the moment. Managed a miraculous 5th place for us. We should be nowhere approaching that. And Pascal Wehrlein 19th. Disappointing for Pascal Wehrlein. Obviously Vettel is still ill here. He's still got a fever. He's out for 3 days, so he will be back for Russia. And depending on what Wehrlein and Van Dorn do here, it's looking more than likely that Van Dorn is going to get that second seat and take over from Pascal Wehrlein. I think that is the only way that we can go. Meanwhile, on the car, we haven't finished our gearbox yet. We're still working on the gearbox, so the gearbox is still a long way behind. Beijing favours the engine, the brakes and the front wing. We're pretty much middle of the road for all of those. We do have a pretty decent front wing because we put a new one on before the last race, and before this race I've managed to go ahead and improve that part before we get to this race, so we're pretty decent there. And then for the brakes, a little bit below average, so we could be in for a decent race here. I'll just get my notebook. We've got a little notebook, like a bit like Ted's notebook if you watch the Sky Sports coverage of Formula 1. Just goes through what each team has done. Mercedes haven't made any, well, they've just been improving their car, not introduced any new parts to their car. Red Bull, a new engine for Red Bull. It's still only 3rd overall with the engine, whereas Williams as well have got the upgraded engine from Mercedes. We see McLaren have actually done a better job with that engine than Mercedes are at the moment. So the Mercedes engine suiting the McLaren car a little bit better than it is the Mercedes car. Ferrari have improved their suspension. McLaren have improved their suspension. I think that's the 2nd upgrade to McLaren's suspension that they've actually put in the car. I believe it's now up to 6. Yep, Aston Martin have upgraded their suspension, which gets them up to 4th on the suspension list. AlphaTauri have built another new front wing, puts them up to 7th. So AlphaTauri not doing the best at the moment. They keep concentrating on that front wing, it seems, at the moment. Renault, new parts introduced. Alpha have got new brakes and a new gearbox going into this race. So Alpha just above us with the brakes and the gearbox as well, where Alfa Romeo 8th. So even with their upgrades, not a massive improvement. I don't think it's pushed them up the list much. They're 9th overall, still just ahead of Prema. Then we've got Haas and AlphaTauri behind them. Haas have put a new engine in. They've got the new spec from Ferrari. If we look at Haas, 9th overall, so they're not getting as much power. No, what am I saying? Haas are with Renault at the moment, aren't they? But they're still... yes, are they? Yes, Haas with Renault. Haas with Renault. It's not Honda. It's getting confused here. Haas do have a Renault engine in there. Renault do have a decent engine, but Haas not getting as much out of that engine as the Works team and Prema have put a new suspension in. So that is all the upgrades we've got going into this race. Obviously, we've seen domination pretty much from Ferrari so far. 2 wins. Although Hulkenberg didn't have the best of first races for Ferrari. Seems to have got to grips with that car. After the second race, are Ferrari going to dominate here? Again, in China, that is something that we will have to see. Let's just check the pit crew before we go in. I don't think we've got anyone. Everyone seems to be fairly healthy. We can keep with that. I don't think there's anyone that we can hire because we did that at the end of the last video. Yeah, so other than that, I think that is all there is to go over here as we jump into the race. Obviously, our driver lineup without Sebastian Vettel is down there. We're only better than the AlphaTauri. Aston Martin rated pretty low down. Pretty much because of Lance Stroll. Pretty much he's not the big... I don't know whether he's actually the worst rated driver that I've got in this Formula 1 game at the moment. Obviously he does have room to improve. Hopefully he can improve in the Aston Martin car, because I don't know how I'm going to storyline wise take him out of that car. And then followed by Prema, who have got two young drivers in Schumacher and Schwartzman. So we're going to jump in here. Obviously it's going to be a two-stop race. Yeah, we're going to leave you at home. We're going to take the Audi sponsorship, hardly any money there. I think we're going to have to take a few more mediums for this race. So if we go 7-4-4 across the board, we do have mediums to play with then. And other than that, we're going to jump into practice now and we'll be back in just a moment for qualifying. So we're about to jump into qualifying. Decentish job with the setup. Obviously not doing too much tweaking during practice, just go with what I can sort of get out of maybe 2-3 runs. Verline was a little bit quicker in practice. Overall it's looking like it could be a little bit of a hard weekend for us. 12th and 14th, not the quickest overall. Obviously about a second behind the Mercedes. Max Verstappen doing quite well. But if we look at the tyre selection, a bit of a strange one for Mercedes. Only 2 sets of the mediums. Maybe they're going to use the softs, maybe a super soft, medium sort of setup. Don't quite know what our strategy is going to be in the race yet. I'm thinking of super soft, medium, and then back onto another super soft. If we can try and get that, maybe that would be the quickest sort of tyre setup that we can go for. Meanwhile, I don't think it's going to rain during this qualifying session. So let's just speed up a little bit, get a lot of these cars out of the garage. We're going to get Verline out first. He can run second on the last session, on the last run of this qualifying session, and we'll get Van Dorn out just behind him on this first run. So pretty much every car is out on track at the moment. Just leave the AI to do the tyre temperature. There's not much point doing it because it doesn't make that massive difference to the actual qualifying times. It's usually about a tenth of a second or so that you can sort of gain by going through those, is what the average sort of works out at. But as we come around now, it looks like the Renault of Ricciardo is the quickest out on track at the moment. Are we going to see Ferrari's a little bit further down? The Ferrari's not as quick as the Renault's here. A tenth down? That can't be right. Look at that. Hulkenberg, 7 tenths down on the time that Hamilton has set Ricciardo. Obviously 8 tenths down after being quickest. Verline goes quicker there, so these Ferraris, there's something obviously wrong with Hulkenberg's lap there. We're pretty close to a Renault ahead of Ricciardo. Possibly some traffic out on track. Although Van Dorn, 1.6, not a good lap for him either. As we were following Hulkenberg around then rather than our drivers, more concentrating looking at what's happening over here on the timing screens. So yeah, pretty interesting after that first round. Verline, 7th, obviously. He's come out guns blazing here, obviously wanting to keep his drive over Stoffel Van Dorn. If he can get in the points, it's going to be a hard decision on who to keep in that car. So we're just going to skip ahead now. Obviously we've got the cars further down the order. We'll come back out, but we're going to start our run with maybe 2 minutes 30 left. Just get out of the garage, get some clean air. Hopefully that can get us to that point. So if we just speed up the clock here a little bit. Yes, we know you want to... Oh, the other cars are starting to come out. So, no, we're running Verline second here since he's had the best run of the first runs between our drivers. And that's a McLaren we're just getting out in front of there. And we'll get Verline out of the pit box as well. He's there. That is a Red Bull he's behind. So hopefully we can just... he can create some distance, but there's a lot of traffic about at the moment. Van Dorn is currently in 23rd place. Giovinazzi is the quickest out of the cars that are out on track at the moment. He's improved up to 8th. Doesn't look like anyone else that has done their second. Look at that, Magnussen up in second. In this Williams, he's a lot slower than his first lap. How did he get that close and split the Ferrari and the Mercedes of Leclerc? Russell goes a lot quicker here. Is this track is starting to grip in? We're seeing some quick times out of these cars that are on track at the moment. We're just going to follow Verline around for this lap unless we see that Van Dorn is starting to improve. So Verline, hopefully he can stay up there and get us into the top 10 hopefully. This top 10 is going to see a lot of change here. Esteban Ocon currently going quickest out on track at the moment. Obviously no one else has set a first set to Verline is slower, whereas Van Dorn is going quicker than his last lap. He's not that far off over the first sector. Or is that his time comparative to his last lap? Looks like Verline's way off on his second lap. Meanwhile, out on track, Leclerc's a little bit slower than he was. Hulkenberg is improving as well. Van Dorn gets himself up into 4th place. What can Hulkenberg do? He's only one still out on track. Hulkenberg improves, but only stays 12th as well. This is quite the lineup here. So, an interesting qualifying as we head into the race here. Did Magnussen keep 2nd place there? That is a little bit. We're going to go super soft because I think we're going to be running the super soft, but maybe switch it up a little bit. No, we're going to be running the super soft. Both cars are in the top 10, so if you follow my series before, if you're in the top 10, we have to use the quickest tyre available. We can't change up our strategy from that. It is 51 laps, so I think we're going to do super soft medium, back onto a pair of super softs if we can make that happen. I think that will be the best strategy to go for. Make sure we can get that medium far enough into the race that we can get back onto a pair of super softs. We're just going to go in high mode from the start like usual, and then bus, and then just push everything forward from there. But as we go, this weird grid, we've got Charles Leclerc on pole, looking like he's got another win. I don't know what happened with the grid, whether everyone got stuck in traffic, but we've got Kevin Magnussen in 2nd place in that Williams. Absolutely amazing qualifying, 2 tenths off from Leclerc. Then we've got Russell in the Aston Martin. His Aston Martin doesn't suit this track at all, so it is surprising to see Russell so high up there. And then we've got Stoffel Van Dorn staking his claim for that 2nd seat, 4th place for him in that Audi. Then we've got Lewis behind, 5th place in Mercedes. Ricciardo in that really strong Renault this season, 6th place. And then Ocon in 7th. He's got a dodgy neck as Ocon, so his fitness is not going to be as good for this race. Carlos Sainz in the McLaren 8th. Alonso in the Red Bull 9th, ahead of Verline 10th for us. Giovinazzi up there in the Alfa 11th, ahead of the Ferrari. Hulkenberg not having a good qualifying session at all. He starts on the mediums. Max Verstappen in the Mercedes, starting on the mediums, 13th place. It's just all over. There's no rain affecting the AI in this qualifying session. Just cars all over the place here. Interesting. 14th for Lando Norris in the McLaren. Lance Stroll 15th in the Aston Martin. Albon all the way down in 16th in that Red Bull. Latifi obviously not able to do what his teammate did, Kevin Magnussen, did in that Williams. 17th, 18th for Mick Schumacher in the Prema, not too bad. Perez down there in the Haas, 19th. Schwartzman 20th in the Prema. And then on the back row of the grid, no, not quite the back row, we've got Newgarden in the Haas, Vips in the AlphaTauri, and then Valtteri Bottas on the back row of the grid in the Alpha, and Gasly in the other AlphaTauri, 24th. So let's jump in here. We're quite high up, so we're going to get to see both. Let's get underneath that walkway. And a slow start from Leclerc, but that holds up Russell. We start to drop back. Van Dorn, can he get around this corner? Let's just bump everything up here for Van Dorn. Let's hope we can keep the McLaren signs away from where we can't, but we do get past the Williams of Magnussen. Magnussen dropping right down the order here. Verline is up, he's under pressure. We're going to bump him up as well and to get a little bit of heat in these tyres before we start to try cool down a little bit. The camera getting left behind there. But Van Dorn is 7th, not a bad start. Magnussen has managed to get back in front of him here. Leclerc is away at the front of the grid as we battle with Ricciardo. He has possibly got the inside line on his here, but have we got the speed around the outside? Van Dorn does have the speed around the outside. Manages to stay ahead of Daniel Ricciardo here. Pretty decent start. I don't think we did finish 5th in the last race. If we can get past Magnussen here, put a little bit of space between us and that Renault. Ocon has managed to get himself up into 5th, whereas Verstappen, he stayed in 13th from the start. Not a good start for the McLaren at all, and we're just going to dial back with Verline a little bit here. Oh, we've got rain coming. We have got rain coming around about, oh, what is it between that? 6, around about lap 19. That is not going to bode well for us as well. We're going to have to try get these tyres as far as and as close to the rain as we can. Luckily that rain is not too bad in that the dry tyres should still work on a par with the intermediates around that time. Whereas that is Alonso, who has managed to get past Daniel Ricciardo here, and he is currently behind Van Dorn. We're losing pace to the Williams in front. He's on conserve at the moment. Leclerc sets the quickest lap. Verline, meanwhile, here he's in 10th place, locks up there. Just what we didn't want from Verline. Definitely what we didn't want. We want these tyres to get through until the rain. We're just going to have to go on conserve with him for a little bit, as we've got one of the Ferraris, that's Nico Hulkenberg, who's got himself up into the points. Let's just see if we can get into this chase cam here as we try and chase down. Obviously, I don't think we've got much chance of getting past this Ferrari. This game doesn't really take into account the slipstream, but if you can get a slipstream around these sweeping corners, it's quite a lot of slow hairpins here on this China circuit, and then a couple of quick ones before we get back down to the straight. We're under pressure at the moment from Lando Norris right behind us as well. It looks like we're more than likely to lose a place to Lando Norris as Nico Hulkenberg starts flying off away from us. Norris is coming up the inside, doesn't quite make it stick, and we've got more cars locking up. Van Dorn locks up this time, puts his tyres on a par with Verline, just what we didn't need as he's battling with Alonso. Manages to keep that place at the moment. So under pressure stuff of Van Dorn for this 7th place. A decent start. Just wish we could have stayed close to that Williams, but Magnussen doing really well here with his car. And 8th place, that is it. We've lost the place to Alonso, it looks like. Don't really want to push. Look, the tyres just getting so hot here. It's 21 degrees, but tyres are getting hot. We're going to have to just dial everything back a little bit here. Desperately try to make these tyres last until the rain starts to come, although it is a little bit of a tough one because that is in the crossover point, just about for the tyres going off. So yeah, these cars down here, Hulkenberg on the pair of mediums, he's going to be able to massively improve on that if he can get through to when the rain starts and get onto a pair of Inters. Obviously everyone else that is on the super softs is in a little bit of trouble here to try hang on to these positions, other than Leclerc, because Leclerc is just flying off into the distance at the moment. If we losing the camera again, why are we just skipping about here? What, I don't know whether it's the chase camera mod that we've got on, it's just making it skip about, but there we go. Leclerc has got a massive gap to Lewis Hamilton, already got 5 seconds in front after 5 laps of the race. Currently doing a 139 to a 141. Goes across the line in a 142. Hamilton does a 141, still a second a lap almost between those two cars. But Van Dorn, Alonso has got past him. He's under pressure now from Daniel Ricciardo. I don't think we have much chance of holding off Daniel Ricciardo here in that pretty powerful Renault. It is. And what did he hit then to fly that fast? It's not ERS in this game. He just absolutely flew past Van Dorn there. One swift move, gets a second ahead on one corner. Was Van Dorn going slow? What was that? As it is, anyway, our two drivers are just split apart by a Ferrari at the moment. That's Nico Hulkenberg in between. Let's just speed up things here a little bit. Let's just blast through a few laps. See if we can get a little bit closer to these two cars in front. We're managing to hang on to the Red Bull and the Renault of Alonso and Ricciardo. Don't quite have the pace to get past, but I say that these tyres start to cool down. We start to pick up pace again. Maybe their tyres are overheating, which is allowing us to hang on to the back of them. So if we can, there, we're going to make a move on Ricciardo here. We're coming around to this last corner. If we can try give Van Dorn the option to put his fuel mode up here. Does he get Ricciardo? Can he get Alonso? No, he can't. We just keep here. We've got a little bit of room to work with the tyres, and we're not going to be able to hold off Ricciardo. There's no point us trying to keep that position of Ricciardo. Obviously, our pit crew is still not the best. We're going to lose about a second in the pits. Trying to fight for that 8th place. A little bit of a fool's game, I would think. It's not something that is going to be beneficial to us in the long run as we try and make these tyres last. As we see, we're already at 48%. We're not a little bit, we've worn the tyre out a little bit more than the cars in front of us. Vips in the AlphaTauri, good race from him. Is he going to be able to stay up here? But obviously he's on a super soft. Norris is in a really good position on this medium tyre to get through to the rain. Carlos Sainz is in a good position as well. This soft should get him through to when the rain starts. Obviously the rain's not going to be that bad, but it's not really going to be that long. That rain could just about do the dry tyre So we're back now. Lap 11, Wehrlein makes a move on Nico Hulkenberg, getting close. Hulkenberg slowing down. Wehrlein gets himself up into the points, 10th place. We're now running both cars in the points. Hulkenberg having a little bit of trouble on this track in this Ferrari. Obviously not doing as good as he did in the last race. Obviously he is on a slower tyre, having started 12th. This medium does lose quite a bit of time to the super softs. The super softs will be starting to go off soon. We're almost at the point, 20% they can run down to. We're going to get nowhere near the rain, so we're going to have to go on to another dry tyre. We're going to lose, if we put an Inter on at the moment, we're going to lose about 10 seconds per lap to the other cars around us. Magnussen has dropped down to 8th. Alonso and Ricciardo have managed to get past Magnussen and Russell, who both had really good qualifying sessions. So are we able to get onto the back here? I don't think we're able to push too hard to get onto the back. We're going to have to come in for another tyre. That rain is not really going to stop, so we do have to stop for a dry tyre. There's no way we can actually get through, or can we? No, it's too long to go. So we're just going to push from this point forward, especially with Van Dorn. He's going to get into the pits this lap. 20 seconds or so for a pit stop, 47. We sort of want to try and get out ahead of Schwartzman. There's a little bit of a gap there, 3 or 4 seconds. It's not that much of a gap. We want to get Van Dorn out into that gap though. If we get him in now, where would he be coming out? Obviously we're going to go super soft because we're possibly going to have to get off the tyre. 21st if we come in now, which is actually ahead of Bottas. So we're actually, it's a pit lane a little bit shorter. Obviously there's a little bit of the corner that misses. Right, we're going to bite the bullet. We're going to have to get in early, because there's no way this super soft's going to last until the rain. And then Wehrlein is going to be the one that comes in after this lap, so he's going to get lined up for his pit stops. Pair of super softs for Wehrlein as well. Is the rain going to get heavier towards the end of the race? The rain is not going to stop here in China as this race goes on, and Wehrlein gets out ahead of, that's Daniel Ricciardo is ahead of, but unfortunately we're in a lot of traffic here. We are out in 21st. That is because a couple of other cars crashed as well. Not crashed, pitted as well. We're stuck between two Premers at the moment. We need to get there. We made that move on Schwartzman. So we're actually behind Kevin Magnussen at the moment, who was in front of us. So we're just gonna, don't want these tyres to get too hot at the moment. And Wehrlein at the moment is 7th. Where can he get out of the pits here? 7th place. And he's about to come into the pits. He's at the Aston Martin of George Russell in front, coming into the pits as well. So a nice clean pit stop there. I think that is Vips coming in as well behind. Gets out in a 22nd into a little bit of clear air, although we're going to get onto those Premers pretty soon. We're just not going to risk too much with Wehrlein at the moment. We don't want him. I just don't know if the rain's going to be heavy enough to get off these super softs too early. So we still do want to look after the tyres, whereas Russell has got out in front of Van Dorn here. Should we push? We're a little bit close to overheating. We're just going to cool down a little bit. We're just going to start to conserve a little bit here, just as we decide what to do next. We sort of, there or thereabouts. Ricciardo is behind Wehrlein at the moment as well. I don't know if he had a problem in the pits, or was he behind in the first place? I don't know. We're just waiting to see what happens when this rain comes. And we're at the point where we could start to, well, we should start to think about recovering a little bit so we can push once we know what sort of strategy we're going to be doing a little bit later. But as we see, Leclerc 9.5, 10.4. Hamilton's in the pits. I thought he was flying ahead. Something wrong with Hamilton, I thought there was. Hamilton is in second. He's going to get back out into 3rd place as well. So a nice gap there for the leaders over all these other cars that are running mediums. 37.5 seconds back from Leclerc to Hulkenberg. A lot of difference between the super soft and the medium tyre here on this track. We've cooled down a little bit. We're going to get back up here. We're still in touching distance to the Aston Martin and the Red Bull in front, although Van Dorn is under pressure there from Schwartzman, who's maybe pushing this medium tyre at the moment. Leclerc is staying out a long time here. Is Leclerc coming in? The rain is about to start on the next lap. I think he's going to get in for... Oh, Leclerc's gone Inters. Obviously, he does have the luxury. He's that far in front. He does have the luxury to do that. He's possibly not worried about losing 10 seconds over a lap. considering that Hamilton might have to come into pit again. But Sainz is out in front at the moment. What is Leclerc? So we do have a good barometer of what the lap times will be, because we do have one car running the Inters at the moment. Obviously, it's not the best barometer because it's a Ferrari, and the Ferrari is so quick. So are we going to have to jump onto Inters at some point? Oh, we've lost out to all these cars that got the chance to go medium from the start of the race. Hulkenberg, even though he's gone to this, he's not going to get anywhere near his teammate either. Yeah, here comes the rain now. The rain is here. Are we going to start to see any cars dive into pits? Obviously, there's no point getting off this tyre yet, as we're under pressure at the moment from Daniel Ricciardo. That is Ricciardo going up the inside. The rain starts. Ricciardo just gets it. A little bit more confident. Oh, I just say that, he locks up. He locks up to try to get right behind the Aston Martin and Williams of... that is Russell and Magnussen in front. We've got a nice little group of 4 cars here. Can we go in chase cam in the rain? Actually, we want chase cam of Van Dorn since we're behind. No. Stay with my car. Oh, is that Ricciardo that's dropped down? Try to go past. He's trying too much, maybe. Close, can we get it? Yeah, we see Sainz come into the pits now. Sainz has come into the pits. This rain is starting to get a little bit heavier. Doing 143s at the moment. We're a little bit quicker still on the dry tyre. At this point, it's still not at the point where the Inters would be working to their full effect. This is quite the battle we've got going on here. As Van Dorn's locked up as well now. Should we get pushing? Because we're going to have to come in for a pair of Inters at some point. But if we got Inters, it's going to keep raining till the end of the race, it looks like. Let's just have a quick break. We can do 25 laps. We sort of want to get this super soft through until the point we want to do one pit stop for the Inters. I don't think we're going to lose too much time in doing that, so we do want to get to around about 25 laps to go. Maybe dive into the pits even longer than that if we can do. Would be the main objective here. We're just going to have to stay on this super soft for as long as we can and sort of measure ourselves against Carlos Sainz, who's on the Inters. We're not going to get a lap time out of him just yet because he's only just been into the pits, and which means we don't really want to go through these tyres too quickly as well. So we might have to just give up on this race and on this little battle that we've got going on and play the long game. Verline, meanwhile, he's just trundling along in 20th place. He's got an AlphaTauri in front of him of Yuri Vips. Not the best again from Verline. He's 4 seconds behind, but once again behind his teammate. He's stuck behind these Premas as well. Should we give him the opportunity to go past here? Obviously, he's going to possibly be outside the points no matter what we do. So we've just got to give him a little bit of leeway here to try and get past these other cars. Whereas we're just cooling down. But that is a lock-up from Vips. Does that give us an opportunity to go around the outside here on this hairpin, get the inside line, give him a little bit more leeway with the engine. And there we go. We move up into 18th. We finally managed to get past Vips. We're going to try... Yeah, let's pit for Inters. I thought he was going to say something's going wrong with his car. No one else is coming in for Inters. Bottas has got in for Inters on the Alpha. The crossover point is not for a while yet, so we're trying to get to at least 25 laps to go. Hopefully more than that, because we don't know whether those Inters can actually do 25 laps. Meanwhile, that is a Williams and Kevin Magnussen in front. Ricciardo's managed to get away from him. And Stroll not doing too badly here. They're going to get to go onto the Inters, but anyone that has gone onto the Inters, like Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz, they're going to have to pit on those Inters again for another set of Inters. So we're not too far out of the running order at the moment. Obviously, all these, depending on when they come in for their medium to Inter swap, these guys that are on the mediums may have to pit again as well. So it's not worked out as bad as if the rain would have stopped around about lap 30. We're still in a position that we can get ourselves back up into the points here. And Van Dorn just constantly at battle here with Daniel Ricciardo. Don't want to try recover the fuel just yet. And we've got Verline cooling down here. He's managed to move himself in front of both Premas ahead of Vips. Norris has pitted for a pair of Inters. What is Sainz doing at the moment? A 140.6. We're about 2 seconds slower at the moment. A pit stop will be about 20 seconds, so we're not going to make up that much time if we do get onto a pair of inters at the moment. The rain is still at a manageable level for this tyre type. Are we going to be able to hang on with the dry tyre? Obviously, we don't have a... Who else has pitted recently? That is more of a measure for what we're doing. Bottas is on a 142. That's more of a measure for what our car will be doing. So if that is the car that we base ourselves against, maybe not the Red Bull, maybe the McLaren. You can see what Norris is doing in a few laps time to sort of decide what we're doing. Obviously, he is currently behind Verline. If we see him start pulling ahead of Verline here, maybe that is when we should bite the bullet. Just better make sure Verline can do 25 laps as well. If we look after it, the inters, I think they don't drop off the cliff until 0%, so we can run them and hopefully get through to the end of the race by doing that. It's just a matter, we've got a lot of cars coming in for the intermediate tyre now. They're going to have to stop again if they do come in. Could the AI make it last? We're just going to have to play it cool here. We're just going to have to play it cool. The tyres are getting a little bit worn, so 28 laps. Are we going to be able to do it? Just try go as long as we can on this dry tyre. A couple of cars locking up as well. Yeah, so I'm guessing Hulkenberg's going to have to stop again. If we stop now, though, we're going to have to stop again before the end of the race. Can we eke out another few laps? We've got enough distance in the between the cars that we can double stack them. It's just a matter of staying out as long as possible here. Obviously, Magnussen's got the right idea. Maybe we should have gone onto a pair of softs. We couldn't. It did look like the rain was going to stop when we did make our pit stop. Maybe we should invest in the forecasting centre, but then again, if we can see that what weather's to come throughout the whole race, it does make it a little bit easier. 23%, these tyres are about to drop off the cliff. I think this is a point where we're going to have to go on to the inters. 26 laps we'll have to do on it. Is it doable? We better hope so. We better hope so. 26 laps is doable on this inter, because I do not want to pit again. I think it's the only way we've got a chance of points in this race if we don't actually pit again. So just a few more corners. Let's speed up until we actually get into the pits here. And there we go, we're into the pits. Can we get one car out? Oh, a little bit of stacking. That was a slow pit stop, 3 seconds. We had about 4 seconds between the cars. Double stacked a little bit, but both cars not that far apart. We still managed to stay ahead of the Prema. Unlucky for Verline there, but he is behind Van Dorn. It is what needs to be done if he has to get to the end of the race. We could have maybe gone on for another lap, but on a super soft that's dropped off the cliff, that's in the wet, we could be losing upwards of 5-10 seconds over the next lap. So losing a second through the pit stop was the better option there. And we're going to try start recovering a little bit of fuel here as we just have a quick look. Hamilton's still out on this pair of super softs. Could Hamilton nick this race? Obviously Leclerc does have to stop again, but Hamilton does have to stop as well. No, I don't think he's close enough, is he? Yeah, the super soft's totally still doing similar. No, a second quicker. What am I saying? No chance of catching that Ferrari, although he could surprise us. We're currently running 21st and 23rd, but our plan now is to go through to the end of the race. So let's just have another quick run. Sainz doing really good in the McLaren, 3rd place, on for a podium here for the McLaren. Ocon in the Renault still on dry tyres, 4th place. The Red Bull of Alonso, 5th place. Hulkenberg in 6th, good for him. I think he started 12th once this race started. And then we've got the other Mercedes of Verstappen in 7th. He is on the inters. Got a different strategy than his teammate. But after a pit stop will still be about 20 seconds between them. So it looks like Hamilton is winning this race between the two Mercedes teammates. And where is Verline compared to that Prema? He's quite far behind. We're just trying to make these tyres last for the time being. That is all we can do. So just skipped ahead a few laps. We're back now on lap 31. We're seeing a few other cars start to do their second pit stops. We're currently 17th and 19th. We've got to try clear all these cars that have got to change off their inters. Hopefully we're going to be able to hang on to our inters to the end of the race. Hamilton has just set the quickest lap of the Grand Prix. He's currently third place, 25 seconds to Leclerc, who does have to stop. Hamilton doesn't have to stop again. Ocon has to get onto a pair of Inters at some point. He's in the pits now. Where's Ocon going to feed out? He is into 6 on a nice fresh pair of Inters. Hulkenberg, Verstappen possibly do have to pit again. So there could be a 4th place on for the Renault here. Ricciardo is all the way down here with us at the moment. Giovinazzi is finally into the pits in the Alfa. So we move up another place here in Van Dorn. Meanwhile, there he is, right, still battling away with Ricciardo in that Renault. Not able to get away from our Audi on this track. A little bit surprising. That Renault is very powerful. But when it comes to race day and qualifying, it just doesn't seem to be able to translate it onto on-track performance. Verline, meanwhile, is behind the Prema Schwartzman, the AlphaTauri of Vips. Don't really want to push it too much because we do need to hang on to these tyres. We give them a little bit of leeway to stay ahead of the Prema. Obviously, we should have the performance over the Prema. Obviously, they do have a Ferrari engine in there, but not utilising it to its full potential. So there we go. We're just going to leave Verline pushing a little bit here. Whereas we can just sort of concentrate on Van Dorn for the next few laps, see if we can... It's not really worth pushing to get past Ricciardo. Obviously, we're doing quite well. Should we push to get past him and then hold off? Since he's struggling behind the AlphaTauri at the moment of Pierre Gasly. Well, let's just go for it. Give him the same freedom that we've given Verline to push a tiny little bit. Whether that's enough to get him past going down the straight. Here we go, we'll follow down the straight here. You see that Renault's just got more power out of the corner, but just can't keep up as it's trying to battle away here. As we get upside, here goes Van Dorn. Gets that move done on Daniel Ricciardo. Absolutely perfect from Stoffel Van Dorn. He's possibly just going to come straight back at us though. He's possibly going to... Yeah, there we go. We just can't keep that place over the Renault. We can push and get past him. But then we'd have to push to stay ahead of him as well. It's a quandary. A little bit. We're just battling away, just swapping positions. If we went and pushed now, we'd get past him. But then we'd have to dial back. Since we pushed that little bit, then we'd have to dial back. Oh, we dropped. Ricciardo dropping a place there, nearly to Yuri Vips in that AlphaTauri. Gave us a little bit of room to stay ahead of him that time. And we're going to have to cool down a little bit here with Verline. We don't want these tyres getting hot at all. Because we do have to try and get through to the end of the race. We've used about 40% of the rubber. 13... Oh, look at that. Oh, it's going to be touch and go, isn't it? I don't even think it's going to be touch and go. I do think we're going to have to pit. Moved on a few more laps again. Van Dorn is still 16th. We're currently battling away with the two AlphaTauris of Pierre Gasly and Yuri Vips. Can't seem to quite clear these two AlphaTauris. It's a little bit frustrating at the moment. Just don't have the pace in the rain, it seems like, to clear them. Can't even really get close to Gasly at the moment. He's managing to keep this 1 second gap as well, just sort of hanging on to tyres at the moment. He's our best... It's our best bet, just to try hang on as much as we can. We're going to have to speed up here because the tyres are just getting too cool as well. We don't want the tyres cooling down and losing performance, losing grip, getting too much. Yeah. Verline though there, just managed to get past Yuri Vips there in the background. Decent overtake from Verline, our two drivers close together here, both similar on the tyres. It's going to be a little bit hard. If we do need to make a pit stop, we're going to have to stagger them out. The rain is going to get a little bit harder as well. Leclerc has got in for his second pit stop, seemingly confirming his win for this race now. First place, a 5 second gap over Lewis. Lewis is now second. Sainz still doing pretty well, third place. He's got a Ferrari about 10 seconds behind. Hulkenberg does have to stop, which does mean that Ocon could be getting that 4th place as Verstappen does have to stop as well. There goes Verstappen into the pits. Oh, we've lost Verstappen. We've lost Verstappen. Verstappen comes out of the pits into 8th place. That is behind Fernando Alonso in the Red Bull. What can we get here? Verline has managed to get past Van Dorn on track here. Desperately trying to stake his claim for that second seat, but obviously that last race from and Van Dorn takes it back. Vips locks up just behind them. And we're just about back to optimal temperature in these tyres. Just dial everyone back. They're going to end up hitting each other, which would be the worst possible. No, don't you dare get too close to each other. We're going to have to push one of them. Who's in front at the moment? Verline. Can't push them though. Get some room over Van Dorn. Don't you dare hit each other. As we've got other cars starting to come into the pits now. Obviously it doesn't look like we're even going to be able to push back into the top 10 here, so just the rain, not being able to get through to the rain on that first set of tyres has really made a big difference to our race here. And we've got that little bit of a gap now. We're going to try and reclaim this fuel now, as we have been doing with Van Dorn. Should we just get one of these cars into the pits? We're not going to be able to get back towards... but there is still... No, there ain't. We're 85 seconds behind. Look at that. We're almost 40 seconds behind Alonso. No chance that we're going to get past him if he has to pit again. I don't even think he's going to have to pit again. Where would we be? 120. We'd be out in last place if we pitted again. Don't want that to happen. That would be an absolute disaster. It's going to be an absolute disaster if we don't get it done anyway, isn't it? Obviously the pit lane is not as long here. 20th place. Which has been totally done in by the rain in this race. We've got a few parts. 46 laps. Yeah, Van Dorn. We're just going to get him in, see if we can. See what the difference is here. Into the pits. Not much we can do about it. At least we've got some room to push now. I think we've just been lapped as well by Charles Leclerc there. So we can actually push with the fuel a little bit. We're holding Lewis Hamilton up. Yeah, we're going to get blue flagged all the time now as well. There's no blue flag here. Why is there no blue flag? Have I got a rule set for no blue flags or something? I don't even think there is one. I mean, well, yeah, I don't think we're going to get this tyre through to the end of the race either. We're going to have to get Verline into the pits as well. There we go, just speed up to get him round here. And there we go, Verline into the pits, which means he's going to be lapped as well. We can push a little bit, he's into 17th, Van Dorn in 20th. Let's just put these two guys on auto drive here to the end of the race. We're not going to be able to pick up any places. And we'll just watch from the front here, since both our guys are out of it. We've got Leclerc in second place here, Hamilton. I don't think he's going to have to pit again. He's pretty close to us. Is he going to be able to get through to the end of the race? Is Hamilton going to be able to hold on to podium positions here? Sainz is third. He's got a nice gap to Ocon behind him as well. Everyone's a little bit spread out here. Hulkenberg. Then we've got Alonso in the Red Bull. Let's get close to this Red Bull. Do we have anyone close together on track? 5 seconds, 7. Is there any interesting action? We've got Latifi, who's pretty close. He's got Ricciardo pretty close behind him. I think this is the closest we're going to get, because we've got Verline just behind these two guys as well. Let's turn off auto drive. We want to use this fuel up before the end of the race, so we'll just go. Let's just go all out attack, eh? Attack and overtake. Let's see what we can get, because we've got Ricciardo here, who's just in front, trying to get past Latifi. So if we switch to Ricciardo here, fly across the track. Here's Ricciardo, could be able to make this move. This is another disappointing race for Renault. It's just a season of disappointment so far for Renault. Obviously Ocon's in 4th place, but I'm guessing Renault was hoping for more podiums this season. They've got a really good car, a really good driver lineup. It's just not working for them, whatever's happening at the moment. And we're just pushing away here, see if we can at least catch a Renault out. We've been battling with Ricciardo with both cars all race here. Can we get Verline up into 16th place? Meanwhile, Van Dorn is 21st. 21st. You can hear the dejection in my voice. Not a good race at all. Not a good... Oh, there we go, Verline. Verline, a little bit of excitement before we get to the end of the race, and a little bit of silver lining there. But then again, Verline goes and locks up. We're going to see him crash now, aren't we? Because we're pushing him so much to try to stay ahead of this Renault. What happened to Magnussen? Look at Magnussen, 23rd after starting second on the grid. He's behind his teammate of Nicholas Latifi. Things haven't worked out at all for Kevin Magnussen, obviously. And who was the other one? It was Russell, wasn't it? He was third on the grid. Russell is ninth, at least in the... Oh, no, we say that. And Russell is coming into the pits. Hamilton is pitted as well. He's out into third. It's going to be a second place for McLaren here. A really good race for McLaren. Both cars in the top 10. So Russell comes back outside the points. 11th place for Russell. Obviously, 2 laps to go. He thought that tyre was totally going to go. Meanwhile, we've got a little bit of fuel to burn. We can just keep pushing here. Keep Verline. It gets past Latifi. Can we get Latifi here? Obviously, optimal would be to cool this tyre down, but we're going to lose time cooling the tyre down. We might as well just keep pushing. Keep going as much as we can here. A 142 to a 143. No, yeah, that's Ricciardo that's managed to get past, who did a 143.3. So we are quicker at the moment than the cars behind. So 15th is not a bad rescue, but obviously that is not what we wanted compared to where we started this race. We started this race in quite a good position. The rain today didn't work in our favour. Hopefully in another race it will work in our favour. Here we go. Sainz is going to finish here in second place. Leclerc goes across the line for his 3rd win of the season, running away with this championship at this point. Sainz does get that second place. Hamilton will be coming across the line into 3rd place. Ocon just making these tyres last. He took them down to 12%. Ocon comes across the line in 4th place. Hulkenberg will get 5th. Alonso will get 6th. Verstappen will come across in 7th. Albon 8th place for Albon. A little bit further down the road on the final corner is Lando Norris. And then rounding out the points will be Joseph Newgarden. Points for the Haas there. Where did he start? Was he 21st? That is a really good race for Newgarden. Obviously, Newgarden was started on mediums. He managed to get on to Inter and then Inter again. It looks like he went for. Worked out pretty well for him. We had to do that 3 stops. Could have possibly been around the points if we'd have managed to make that 2-stop work, that Inter get through to the end. Obviously, we couldn't get that done at all. So here we go for the official race confirmation. Scrutineering, there's going to be no risky parts at all because the AI doesn't have any. I take it away if they do. If they're there. So Leclerc, Sainz, Hamilton, Ocon, Hulkenberg, Alonso, Verstappen, Albon, Norris and Newgarden picking up a point for Haas as we move on. Charles Leclerc is now 39 points ahead of his teammate. Alonso is 3rd. Then we've got the 2 Mercedes of Hamilton and Verstappen. Carlos Sainz up there in 6th. His teammate is 9th. Albon, Ocon in the Red Bull and Renault respectively, and Ricciardo down in 10th. This is a really good car, this Renault car. I don't know why it is not performing. We keep to 6 overall. Haas picked up another point. Aston Martin have got a point right ahead of the pack. 56 points ahead is the Ferrari, followed by the Red Bull and Mercedes, a point apart from each other. McLaren 38 points, not bad for them if they can hold on to 4th. Currently beating Renault. Whether that Mercedes engine is working really well for them this season, that is possibly it. So after the thrills of the last race, to a slightly disappointing race this time. Obviously, next time we're going to have Sebastian Vettel back in the car, possibly partnering Van Dorn. Might be a case of just sticking Van Dorn in there, and then if he stops performing, swap Verline back in. That's all we can do at the moment. Almost £1.3 million lost through the bank, and just we'll avoid F2. We've got our gearbox built, which doesn't look too bad. So let's just have a quick look. None of these parts are going to be ready before the next race. It's only 10 days to Russia. What should we do? Should we try get another gearbox built here? Yeah, look, that's quite a big improvement on the gearbox. So we're going to go ahead and get another gearbox done, which should be done 20 days time. We should have it for Portugal when we go to Tondela. So yeah, hopefully with Vettel back for the next race. Yeah, we're going to promote. We're going to do it now. Verline's going to be unhappy, but next race we're going to have Vettel and Van Dorn in the car. And let's just see if we've got any other pit crew before we leave. Yeah, quite a few decent pit crew here, so we're going to be able to improve here. Oh, yes, who we're going to have to fire. Refueling is not a thing, so you can go. And then I think there was one more who was pretty decent as well. This guy's pretty decent across the board. Would make a decent backup across the board. And he can take the place of him. So currently we're at 2.91 seconds, 7th on the grid, and we need to change a few guys that are doing tyres. And there we go, 2.65 seconds, 5th on the grid now. That is quite an improvement. I don't think there's any chance of doing... Oh, we do. You can do the front jack a little bit quicker than this guy. 2.5 seconds now, so that is a little bit of improvement, almost half a second improvement, up to 5th on the grid at the moment. We do need to get Messenholer away here. Is the weak link in the team, obviously. The guys that are repairing parts. Get you up. Yep. Not going to make a difference to the time. But yeah, so that is where we're at. I think we'll just leave it there. Have we got an interview to do? We do, with Autosport. You've had some time to get used to the team now. What are your main worries at the moment? And I'll just say I don't have any worries at all, which I don't, obviously. We are where we should be expecting. With the AI difficulty and listening to Offers Verline. And Van Dorn not listening to Offers now, so... Yeah, so we'll be back for the Russian Grand Prix next time. Vettel will be back in the car. But until that time, I'll see you down the road. Goodbye.